understanding how this works. Very exciting. I think I did it. Can somebody check?
I'm on there. Let me see. Let me refresh.
Understanding how this works.
Yes.
There.
Got it.
How do I mute this? There we go.
See.
All right. Someone says, I'm so glad this is starting a little late because I am a little late. I love us. Okay. Hi. Hello. We're all here. We're actually live streaming. We made it work. Yay.
I was not me doing my makeup and cleaning the room like 30 seconds before it started.
Renee, those glasses are beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I like them so much. I got them in 2 colors.
I do that with shoes.
You have like a whole set of frames that you like match with like things that you wear, or do you just have the like a couple sort of key pairs of frames?
Right now, just I've got these in brown and gold, and then I've got them in black and silver because I don't like it when metals are mixed up. It looks weird to me.
You guys, it says, thanks for the advice from last time. My paper got graded and I got an A.
Nice. Good job, Erin.
Writing papers. I like that. I mean, I don't like it. Actually, I don't mind it. I don't mind writing papers. I just mind how I like organize the rest of my life and then don't have time to write papers properly. But also, I'm pretty good at writing papers on a deadline, so I like that. I don't know.
I don't know if I like writing papers as much as I just like getting A's. Like I really, if someone's not going to grade me, I have a difficult time getting like motivation to do stuff.
Renee, it's so nice to see your face. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
I've been in hiding. There's a lot of shit I'm trying to accomplish all at once. And that requires lots and lots of rest. It's not working, but I'm trying.
One might say it requires lots and lots of guarding your yes.
Oh yeah, I'm saying no to every fucking thing now.
Before
they even ask me, like, you look like you want to ask me something. The answer to that is no.
That's awesome. Okay.
I'm gonna go get another cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Okay.
See you when you get back.
This like Ensure stuff that they give to like hospital patients who can't eat food yet. And it has 20 grams of protein, 350 calories, 26 vitamins and minerals. And I'm like, this is probably better for me than the popcorn and fruit snacks that I've been eating. And so I now have a meal replacement shake when I don't feel like eating pistachios and cheese sticks. Now today I'm having Ensure and cheese sticks, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, so you're living fancy today.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm so over cooking. Like I'm so over, not even cooking, just feeding myself. Eating, even like ordering food isn't like fun. I'm just tired of it.
That's it. Like I've got a pizza that I ordered. And by the way, if you have an air fryer, pizza reheated in the air fryer is like everything.
Sounds like
it is everything.
I have an air fryer and I forget to use it for like anything other than like hash browns or tater tots and chicken nuggets.
Next time you have leftover pizza, like, you know how it's like all soggy and gross?
Yeah.
It's like it gives the pizza new life all over again.
My favorite is you take a little teeny glass of water or a little cup of water and you put it in the microwave when you microwave the pizza and it makes it, so it's not soggy. I don't know how. You'd think it would make it more soggy because it's got
the
opposite.
Somebody said, oh, this would be even more great with piña. I'm just gonna stare at the camera. Piña. We'll chase her down eventually.
We'll get her next time.
So
what you trying to say? Like, wait a minute. Look, there's all of us here. Greed.
Can I tell you ladies what I did yesterday? Because I did something pretty crazy. I went to a Christmas tree farm and I sawed my own Christmas tree down. I cut my
that's
own
cool.
tree, and it was a lot harder than well, it's actually pretty much as hard as you think it would be. I just didn't think about it before I went. And I went in the rain right before sunset. So it was getting dark and I'm here like in the mud, in the rain, an inch from the ground, like flying for my life because wow, I got a really good workout. And then I had to drag that motherfucker home. And now my house smells like a Christmas tree.
That's the awesome part though. Did they have to spray it down before they let you take it?
No, they were like, get out of here. We got to leave. It's after dark. Beat it. No,
I'll tell you, there's like, cause I went to high school very close to a Christmas tree farm, and like as an anti-theft tactic, they spray those trees with fox urine and they have to be hit with a neutralizer before they can leave. So if you steal the tree,
it stinks.
Fox urine, when it heats up, it stinks. When you bring that cold tree into your hot house, you'll wish you hadn't stolen that tree.
No, I don't think that
this conversation, and then I like zoned back in, and I'm very confused.
Came back to fox urine. That was the part. Like that's the good part to come back on.
There's a lot of Christmas tree farms around here, and these ones were like straight growing out of the ground. So I guess maybe they're not that worried about theft, but they weren't watching us at all. So I was like, how do they know we're not going to take like 2 trees? Because they had little Charlie Brown trees, and I was halfway tempted to just steal but I'm a very honest person, so I didn't. But I was like, I could take 3 trees. Nobody's watching.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's the country up here, so it's like these people have the equipment to come through and saw down a tree if they want to. So I guess they figured they had to get wise. So Danny, to catch you up, since you came in on the weird part, we were talking about Christmas trees, and the Christmas tree farm nearby where I went to high school would treat their trees with fox urine so that people couldn't steal them.
Why fox?
Because when it heats up, it smells horrendous.
It'd be so much people don't know into their house, and they're like, serves you right. That's what you get for stealing our tree.
Exactly. What are they going to do? Complain? Put a bad Yelp review? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So someone is telling me to watch out for spider eggs. That's terrifying. But if anyone follows me on Twitter, they might know that my house is infested with spiders the other day. My house is infested with spiders anyway, and it's terrible. My mattress and box spring is just on the floor. I don't have a bed frame because I co-slept with my baby. And the other day I was sitting on the floor doing some exercise, and I noticed a tiny spider on my blanket on the part that was touching the ground, and I was like, oh hell no. There's already spiders in my fucking bed, so I don't know how much worse it could get. But yes, someone is concerned that my tree will dry out. I have it in a thing. I'm gonna water it every day.
The spiders things reminded me, I gotta tell you something. I'm super proud of. Well, we saw a bunch of spiders, which is that's the segue in case I forget to connect it. We cleaned our entire, not the entire, but of most of the basement yesterday, and we have lived in like filth, like not, I mean some filth, mostly mess, just like clutter, and like to the point where when you walk down the stairs, there's like this much space where your like foot can go because there's just stuff piled even like on the stairs down to this area. Underneath the stairs is just because it's unfinished and the floor is weird, and so anyway, we've let it get like bad because when we moved, we didn't really have enough time to like Marie Kondo that shit. So we just like threw everything in the basement, and then our cats would like jump on shit and it would like knock over, and we just never put it back. And anyway, so we spent yesterday we try to do like screen-free Saturdays every once in a while from like 12 to like 6. We just like try like no phones and no TVs or anything. And we always clean a shitload. And so we did the whole basement, and it was awesome. But there were many spiders, most of which I assumed would be dead, but plenty of them were alive. And my husband had like spray, and he like killed them all, which was nice. But we have lots and lots and lots of spiders, it turns out. So that was fun to learn.
It's Erin's turn to talk. Erin.
Oh, what are we on? Christmas trees or spiders? I've lost, or fox pee. I've lost track of the topic.
The whole thread has just
on your behalf.
I'm allergic to Christmas trees. Fun story. Yeah, and well, we never had a real tree growing up because we moved a lot, and my mom is a big fan of standardizing things. So we had like this tree that you in a box that you put together every year, and all of the different branch sizes were like color coded. So it was always really fun to set up. But the first Christmas, I think that my husband and I spent together, we did get a real tree. And I'm allergic to all nature, all things that grow.
I didn't know that you could be allergic to trees.
Oh, yes.
Conifers,
Trees.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Trees, grasses, flowers, animals. I think like, like succulents and cacti type family, I think those are okay.
Oh,
Haven't seemed to have any reaction to those. But yeah, if it grows, if it pollens, I'm out. But it wasn't so bad while the tree was being like watered and kept alive. But when it started to dry out, it got so bad. And then my husband was like away for a weekend and I couldn't take it anymore. And so I like just grabbed this like dead tree and started hauling it out to the garbage, which meant I took it out in the hallway and then down like 2 flights of stairs and down around the door, and it's real dry and it's just like needles falling, just like a pile of needles left behind. And I definitely walked by the super while I was doing that. And was like, I'm sorry, but I'm like crying and red in the face and like sneezing and snotting and everything. And so he was like, I'll clean it up. It's fine. I just don't.
that's like
don't want to know.
new girl.
I don't want to know. Yeah.
Am I the only one? So I've never had a real tree at either my parents or anywhere I've lived. Because they're a pain in the ass and
They are
not worth, like, does not seem worth it to me. Like, as far as, and also a lot of times, like at least last year, my husband and I put up the Christmas tree on like December 19th. And then that shit stays up until like February, like my birthday. And we only took it down because we were having people over for my birthday. So I would be really bad about like, well, plus we both drive, I don't know how we'd get it home. And it just would be a pain. And then you have all the needles and the cleaning. And I'm like, that's just, as far as our lifestyle, seems like too high maintenance for someone who like never grew up with a real tree. So I don't like miss it or anything. I don't even know what it's like to like have one.
It's also
if you really
expensive. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's also like you're gonna pay for a real tree what you would pay for like a fake tree, except for you're gonna pay it every year. So like I have a fake tree. The thing is that because I have a cockatiel, I can't have anything scented in my house. No nice candles, no, scented anything. And so like literally just like the scent of pine tree, because like the pine tree will smell up your whole house and it smells really nice. And like I'm at the point where I'm like, please give me like some kind of beautiful odor in my home that won't kill my bird. Like I'm just all about the Christmas smell.
Do odors kill cockatiels?
Yeah, like fake scents. So non-stick fry pans, like any non-stick fry pans, any of those oven bags, oven cleaner, or those, those turkeys that come in a bag, that'll kill your birds. Aerosols, like any kind of aerosols and any kind of fake scents. Yeah, they all kill birds.
Wow.
They're very sensitive.
Confession. I have a fake tree and it is fully decorated in my attic. I carried it up fully decorated 2 years ago. Last year, I carried it down fully decorated and plugged it in. And at the end of the season, I carried it back up. I guess I'll carry it down after Thanksgiving. That is how I'm doing life right now. I don't have time to fool around with trees.
Exactly.
I got, what I'm looking at now is a couple years ago, I got this little felt tree that you stick on the wall, and it comes with all of these little felt ornaments that you can stick all over the felt tree. And so I'm looking at another one of those on Amazon for this year.
That's adorable.
Like $25 or something.
When I was in college, I literally took a bunch of pieces of paper and like taped them together. And then I drew a fucking fireplace with markers and like colored in the fireplace, stuck it on the wall. I had a thing to put on my roommates, his stockings. So they looked weird just being on the wall. So my brain was like, this would look much better with a fake drawn on fireplace.
Did it?
Though, yeah, it did. It really added to the ambiance. Also, it was funny. So
Everyone's like, we came to talk about ADHD, and all they did was talk
It was
about Christmas trees.
Say hi to everyone. Say hi. Oh,
Oh, hi, baby.
oh no. Hi. She's like, we're on mute.
Aw.
she's little grumpy guts right now.
Mm.
But I taught her. So the other day in the car, I was singing that song, Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin Laid an Egg. And every time I would finish it, she would laugh and then she'd say, sing it again. So I sang it about 6 times in a row. And then she sang the entire thing back to me word for word. She's like not even 3. I was like, okay, all right. Enjoy singing that one at daycare.
She is ready. It's amazing.
What's over in the... Oh, I see a comment asking how I think of TikTok content. How do you organize your thoughts and ideas for TikTok? And Dusty, you should chime in too. I have like a notes app, like with my iPhone and my iPad and computer. They all use the same one. And I used to just write like random notes in there, and they were all just in the notes part. Like I didn't have any folders because I kind of forgot that they could have folders. So now I have like within the notes app on my phone, I have like a Twitter folder and a TikTok folder and like and a comics folder. And inside that comics folder, it's got like all text. But my TikTok, I have ideas, captions, scripts, and done. And so when I have like an idea of like something random, like, oh, that'd be kind of funny, I'll just type it and put it in that folder. And then if I ever actually like do it, I'll put it in done. And then if I don't, or if I end up writing a script, which I don't usually do unless they're like 60-second informative ones that I don't want to take 3 hours to shoot, I will write them in there so I can like copy and paste the TikToks or the text for subtitles and such. But yeah, I really can't, I never used to really do that where I would like idea capture in like immediately after having the thing. And doing it on my phone because I used to have like a notebook, but I never want to go and like get the notebook or like ADHD, where did I put the notebook? And so it really helps me have them all in one place so that if I'm needing to come up with some ideas for comics or for content, I just kind of look in there. I'm like, oh, right, I forgot I had that idea while I was watching something with Josh and I didn't have time to sit and make a TikTok, you know. Recently, I've been in kind of a rut, not like because I don't have any ideas. I have lots of ideas, but I made a TikTok about this. It's hard when you take time away from social media and then you like come back and you're wondering like, how bad are my analytics going to be because the algorithm's going to hate that I didn't post it all. And then when I do post and it doesn't do well, is it because the content wasn't good or because the algorithm wasn't this, or did I not post it at the right time? And like, there's all this kind of pressure that starts to sink in when you have expectations of how your videos are going to do. Same thing with tweets. If you're like, this is a fucking rock star tweet, this is going to get this many likes, and then it just does it. And then you're like disappointed because your brain is expecting this certain level of, and maybe that's just me, but it's difficult for me and it makes me like question myself all the time. And it's just a weird thing of being a social media person.
You're definitely more organized than I am. I'm curious if Erin and Renee have, is that something that you guys worry about too, or that you experience, or like, and also like, yeah, how do you both like plan out your ideas and your content?
I do like, I'm the worst person to ask about that. I very rarely plan content. Like I really like half of that's like, it's usually what comes off the top of my head. Like I'll just be like, and you know what else really pisses me off about people who mess with people with ADHD, blah, 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 blah. Send.
Twitter.
Like 75% of the time, that's it. Like I try to, plan things like when I'm releasing a product or something, but even like the plan is just, hey, don't forget to tweet about that thing. Of course, algorithm, time of day, all of that stuff is important. But there's the thing about analytics is you can really get sucked in and it can become a huge source of anxiety. And I find that I do the best as far as actually producing content and not feeling stifled when I pay a little less attention to those, but you still need them. So it's kind of like, wherever I'm at that point is wherever I'm at, I guess.
I don't plan content out, but yeah, I'm also not like,
You produce a lot of content though, like especially like ADHD threads that are really like, what I like about your threads are like, they're super informative and they're like super accurate. Like I can always trust that the content you produce is like quality.
I just like researching stuff. I haven't done my I haven't done an ADHD Q&A thread in a while. Those are always really fun because people just throw a bunch of questions at me and then I'm either like, oh, I have researched that before and I know the answer, or I'm like, I don't know. Give me 15 minutes. And then I'm like, here's some journal articles. Yeah, no, I don't really plan out content. I see we got a question about bullet journals, so I whipped out my bullet journal. I don't really keep up with it in the way that like you're supposed to with bullet journals, but I really like doing the pretty pages.
Me too.
And one thing that I started doing that one of my nieces helps me with is like whenever we go on a trip or something, I start making like a little spread for the trip, and she puts in like some of the things. So I sit there with her and like I do some things and she does some things and we write down all of the memories. So this is like a Canada Day weekend that we did, and stuff like a seagull stole Clark's hot dog is on there. Things like that that happened, but that you might not remember 20 years from now. And I do use it to organize stuff, but I use it for more like stuff I'm gonna have to reference. So like that's like the cast list for the musical that we're doing at my studio, and these are all the numbers at the top, and this is like who's in what number, and they're all color coded by what class they're in. And so I can quickly look and see like, actually you are singing in this song. Why don't you know your words?
Color coding.
That's so organized. Guys, can Melody say hi to you and sing you a song?
Sure.
Melody Sue.
Keep going.
Jingle bell, Batman bell, Robin laid an egg. Batmobile lost the wheel and Joker got away. Hey,
Good job. Good job.
that's
Okay.
a funny one.
Do you want to tell them a joke?
Yes, it is.
You want to say a joke?
Yeah.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Mickey Mouse in underwear.
Mickey Mouse in his underwear.
Oh, he needs
Knock, knock. Who's there? Mickey Mouse in his underwear. Okay, Melody's going in the living room. Say bye-bye to everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh, she's so stinking cute. So I don't know, did you ladies see in the comments they asked if we think that ADHD, especially in adults, is having a moment? And I said, I don't think it's having a moment. I think it's finally starting to get the attention it always deserved.
We have arrived. We were always here.
We're here.
I think people just were louder now. It's funny because
That's it.
would think that's what I said in one of my talks, where I was like, for a group of people that are typically kind of loud, we've been quiet for a long time.
That's it. I think people being able to harness the power of social media makes a big difference in how much information is able to get out there and become common knowledge.
Yeah,
And the-
totally.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying yes. So.
Well, the visibility of and this is how I think about it, the meeting people where they're at, especially people who don't know they have ADHD. They're not looking up ADHD articles to start their day, but if you pique their interest and say they see stuff and go, oh, I saw this on Twitter, or I saw this on TikTok, or I saw, and this like really sounds like me. I'm going to do some more research. And then they might go look up articles and look up, more stuff about it. But like getting someone in a headspace where they're now curious to, see if, wow, I felt really guilty and lazy and awful about myself my whole life. Is there, a reason for this? And for all of us to be like, we're not doctors, but by all means, like, do your own research. If you can go and like get a diagnosis, like it can help people get closure. And I think that that's such a huge deal. And then us talking about it, and other people talking about it makes it less scary for other people. And I think it's just been able to have this big sudden kind of, like, I would say uptick of visibility because of the like contagious nature of not being ashamed about it anymore.
I think that's true. And like, it's weird, like you said, a lot of content like leads circularly. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the tweets earlier, but it was a really, really surreal experience. Like, so I was sitting around one night, and like whenever a sale comes through, like I get a notification on my phone. So it popped up, and it was this person with this really unique last name. And I was like, I went to high school with her. And I was like, no, don't be ridiculous. That's not the same person. Keep it pushing. And so for some reason, I had to go through to check something for inventory, and the sale popped up again. And I was like, well, go look. So I looked. They live in a city on the West Coast, but the area code was for right here in Pennsylvania. And I was like, that's her. And so we ended up connecting. And I said, you do know I'm the same Renee Brooks you graduated from high school with. And she was like, I had no idea. I was just looking for some information about ADHD and ran into you. And I was, well, that should also be a testament to how homely I was in high school. That's another story for another time. But she didn't know it was me. So it's interesting how these things just interconnect, ADHD, bringing families together.
I also think we've had there's been a major shift since like 2011 when like the inattentive type presentation was added. And then there was also this flood of people who like were diagnosed as kids in the 90s. And back then it was like, you grow out of it. And, now 2011, it started to be more like, actually, you don't grow out of it. So there was a bunch of people who were like, oh, I had that as a kid. And it's like, you still do.
Yeah, I still have it.
And then you add like the genetic factor on top of it. And the numbers, like, if you look at the numbers for how many kids in school systems, it's usually out of the US, but how many kids have a diagnosis, and you consider that a lot of these numbers come out of the US, where getting a diagnosis is a matter of, your health insurance provider and your socioeconomic status and where you live and all of those things. Like the percentage of the population that probably actually has ADHD is much higher than people think. It's like probably closer to 1 in 5.
That sounds about right. There's this really, I have to dig it up. I'll send it to you ladies. ADA, the org, did this really amazing project where they did an outreach to a prison and got people diagnosed and got them set up with a coach. And after they left prison, they continued to work with a coach, and the outcomes for those people was just phenomenal. Of course, the project ran out of money, and that's why they don't do it anymore. But just being able to read what they were able to accomplish in a small amount of people's lives is just, man, like, just incredible. Like, I really, as a, like, and of course, you guys know, I'm from the United States. I grew up in the United States. So I was one of those 90s kids. But one of the things I was saying to somebody the other night, I don't know if they do this in other countries, but there's all these tests that they do on elementary school children. flexibility, stamina, hearing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why are they not doing ADHD? And other, like, you know, they could do ADHD, they could do learning disabilities, they could do all of that if they're already testing kids anyway. What is the damn difference?
I'm one of those kids. When I was a kid, I had a hearing test because my mom actually thought I was like maybe a little deaf because I just didn't listen. I had actually had an actual hearing test and they still didn't figure it out. And like there's so many weird things that I can look back now and say like, oh, because I thought I had like adult onset ADHD or something. But now when I look back, I was like such a weird kid, like really weird, like not cool weird, like, oh, I liked cool weird science stuff, like maladaptive, like embarrassing, like had no friends, got picked on every day and was like legitimately really obnoxious and like just acted strangely kid. And when I was a young adult, like in my 20s, I always felt really embarrassed when I looked back at my childhood. Like I was like, what was wrong with me? Like I used to bite kids, for example. When I was little, like 7, 8 years old, I would like bite people because I just like I got picked on a lot and I was smarter, so I was a grade ahead. And so I was like physically being bullied and I had like very low social skills and I was like easily overwhelmed. And I thought it was like funny slash like it was just like a way for me to defend myself. And like I totally, it didn't, you know, the fact that that was like super inappropriate behavior like didn't register with me. And so I used to get in trouble a lot in school for like, yeah, inappropriate behavior. I got suspended a bunch of times, but I was like this straight A, like I got good grades. I was like a straight A kid. And I knew that I was like really sensitive and caring. But behaviorally, I was like this super weirdo. And as a young woman, like in my 20s, I could never reconcile that. I'm like, what was wrong with me? And like when I started learning more about all the different like presentations of ADHD in youth and in girls, I was like, oh my God, so much of this like makes sense now.
I had such like authority issues. Like I got good grades. I like had really bad social, like had difficult time making friends, but a lot of that was because I was changing schools a lot, having to start over. But also I would say like I would say too much for people. Where like when I made a friend, I'm like, oh, friend, and then I'd like freak them out by like liking them too much. And so that was like a thing for me, but also that I was always getting in trouble for like, they would say obviously distracting other people, but talking back because I went to Catholic school and they don't particularly enjoy it when 8-year-old girls question you and ask you. And especially like I had, you know, a priest who was like was like talking about one of the things, and I was just like, actually I pretty much like actually'd him, and I was right. Like I looked it up later and I was right, and I got sent to the principal instead of, you know. And so like it's difficult because in all these different areas of my life I was just like talking back. Like I was constantly punished for talking back and having to being a smart ass and like doing all this stuff. I'm like, well, adults can be wrong too. Like I did not conform to this like shut up and sit down and do what you're told. I'm like, that's bullshit.
You had that Matilda moment, like from the movie Matilda with Danny DeVito, where he says to her when someone is, or he says at one point in the movie, he's like, when a person is bad, that person must be punished. And then he's also the narrator, right? And he says like, what Matilda's dad did wrong there was he didn't say when a child is bad. He said when a person is bad. And then Matilda takes it upon herself to punish her dad for being a crooked auto salesman.
Yeah, I love that. Right. Favorite movies.
It's a great movie.
Fuck you, stop being a bad person.
So there's a really interesting thing around all of that kind of happens with ADHD brains. You guys want to know about it?
Oh, heck
Tell
yeah.
us. Lay it on us.
All right. So somewhere between my therapist tells me somewhere between the age of like 9 and 12 is when your brain sort of develops this like rational thinking kind of thing, where you start to be able to see, like, as opposed to like being scared the way you would have been when you were a little kid, you start to see like, oh, this is scary, but the outcome of this is either not that bad or really positive, so I'm going to do it anyway. That's that sort of thing. And he said that some people can actually remember the exact moment that shift happened. And I was like, I can remember the exact moment that shift happened. I was 9 years old and I was in a new school and I was in this tiny class and there was one other girl there. And it was like the first recess. And I was like, okay, normally I'm too shy and scared to like talk to people or make friends, but there's only one girl in this class and she needs a friend too. And so I walked over and I was like, hi, I'm Erin, let's be friends. And then we were friends. And like a year before that, I would have just like waited for her to come up and probably like stared at her awkwardly for a long time until she did. But so you've got that like scared little kid brain, and then you've got that rational thinking brain. And with ADHD, that rational thinking brain can start to kick in, sort of, and so, but it overlaps with that, like also with that little kid, like right and wrong sense of righteousness. And a lot of us kind of stay in that sense of right and wrong.
Black and white thinking, like, is this related to black and white thinking?
Yes, but in a good way. Like, you know how little kids have that, like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Oh, I
And they like really clearly see when something is not
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
That
justice-
thing. That justice brain kind of thing.
Like
We can carry that on. We just. Yeah.
Some of us never grow out of that. I've known a few
haven't.
adults who are very, that's not fair. But their gauge of fairness is based on whether or not it's something that they really wanted. And if they don't get what they want, that's not fair, which is a completely different topic.
That's entitlement.
Sometimes I feel like I have the opposite problem where like I feel like I can see all possible perspectives and I can't decide like right from wrong sometimes. Like if I want to take a certain stance in a situation or decide how I feel about an issue, I'm like, but just there's so many good arguments on both sides. I just feel like I get like decision fatigue about knowing where I stand on certain issues.
But I think that's an indication of maturity, because there's a lot of things, unless they're actually doing harm to in some kind of way, what is right or wrong but your opinion at that point, if no one's being harmed?
That's just exactly, as far as an opinion thing, is where like if I'm the actively like hurting people part is different, or like impacting others' lives and happiness is different. But when it comes to so many things, it's just like a Mac versus PC argument for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what you value and what I value are different, and you might disagree with me for why I value the thing that I value. You might think that Macs are overpriced and they're not innovative, or blah 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 blah, and I'm a yuppie or whatever it is you want to, But like, I like it, and I don't have to justify to you. Like, we can get in an argument, but it's like neither one of us is going to change our minds.
Exactly.
Close to being on the fence,
Right,
ADHD Jedi Council, talking ethics.
Yeah, because the boundary there is like, how does it affect other people?
Bingo.
Right? It doesn't affect, I mean, it shouldn't, in theory. There might be some way that does, but it shouldn't affect anyone else, Danny, if you buy a Mac or a PC.
Yeah.
Like, that should not upset anyone's day.
Yeah.
There's so many issues where like people don't agree on whether something harms or not, like especially when it comes to like political issues, right? Like that's where it gets really hairy, is when there's an issue where one group of people is saying like this is harmful or this infringes on my rights, and the other group doesn't agree.
I know, and that's what's wild to me, because I'm like, well, did you ask? Did you listen? Did anybody say that it was
Yeah.
Because so many times the people who are saying this isn't harming anyone are not a part of the group that was being harmed anyway. And you don't get to say that something's not causing harm when you're not a part of the group that's being harmed.
But so here's where it gets really interesting, and I'll try not to go down a huge rabbit hole with this, but I saw this on someone's Facebook today. So there's this there's two subgroups, I guess, within somebody within the LGBTQ community is saying the LGBTQ community isn't just a space for people who shun heteronormativity. Like, it's not really a space for, your asexuals and your queers and your polyamorous. It's only a place for people who experience discrimination because of same-sex attraction and transness. And so this person was basically saying like, people who are gay and people who are trans get to claim LGBTQ identity, but people who are like asexual, don't experience the same kind of discrimination. And so like, we don't want you in our group. And then of course, some people who are like asexual or queer or more on like some other part of that spectrum were like, well, how do you know that? And so I wasn't participating in this debate. I was just watching, and it was really interesting to see, because I've never heard that perspective before. But we also see this like, and again, I'm really not an expert, so I'm not going to speak to it. But like I've heard of this like in the trans community as well, where there are some people who are trans who are like, they really kind of reject people who are like non-binary, or people who are talking about gender as a social construct, because for them, they're like, my gender is not a social construct. Like I was born a woman in a man's body or whatever, right? And so there's these like splits even within these issues where both sides have arguments about why harm is being perpetrated, or why something affects them, and they're not agreeing. And that's where I'm so curious about those things, and I love learning about them, but I'm also just like, oh my God, I could never decide how I feel about this. And like in that situation, obviously I don't get to have an opinion because it doesn't affect me at all. But there are real life like implications, like, what if I have friends, but what if I have friends who are like gay or trans, and what if I have friends who are like asexual or polyamorous or whatever, right? And maybe they don't get along because they don't agree, right? So then there's real world implications sometimes for those little nuances.
I've always thought, with that group specifically, there's so many different life views and so many different needs that I can see where there would be a lot of contention, because there is such a wide range. Like even when you look at it's not the same, obviously, but when you look at Black people across the diaspora, across different countries across the world, there's debates about, who qualifies as Black enough and who has a right to say certain things. Like there's they call Black people within the United States ADOS, we're American descendants of slavery, and we have a different experience than people who've come in, whose families were never slaves. So it's to me, like what I'm hearing is these people who have different experiences have different needs, and therefore they have a feeling about something.
Mm-hmm.
Can I take the like meta issue and relate it back to a question that we got a little while ago?
Sure.
Please.
Sure, because somebody asked if anyone has any like partners who are ADHD and as well, and how do you navigate that when you're both doing that? And I think the meta issue here can also be applied to that sort of, maybe if all four of us are writing a test, maybe I need absolute silence, and Danny needs darkness, and Dusty needs loud music playing, and Renee needs to like say her thoughts out loud. And how do we accommodate all of us in the same space doing the same thing when we need such a wide range of supports? So how
does everybody get what they need without infringing on everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and can we talk about that a bit in like partnership?
Oof.
Well, I can't, but you go ahead.
No, we can, because we can talk. Okay, so we can like take the divorcee's corner and talk about like I was married to someone who discovered that he had ADHD and was diagnosed with it because of watching me go through, like, we started dating as I was going through being treated for depression for 6 months, which eventually led to me offhandedly mentioning that I had ADHD when I was a kid, and them going, oh no, we need to talk about that. Never mind this depression shit, which was purely accidental, which I have beef with. Off topic. Anyway, sorry. I think that we can talk about the things that worked in those relationships and the things that didn't. Like, I don't think the relationship, because it's not in place anymore, is a total like what not to do. There were some things we did really well together, like paperwork. I'm bad at doing paperwork that I have to mail in. He was so good at that. That became his job. So anytime something had to be filled out, I would fill it out. That was not his strong suit. He would mail it in, because after I was done with it, it was done, and it could sit there for 6 months and I might not ever notice. So I think, if you've got skills that can coordinate or play off of each other, that a relationship like that can work really well.
Danny.
My husband has ADHD. It's different and weird, not weird, but some of our stuff manifests the same way, and then some of it manifests completely differently. And I think some of that has a lot to do with like other overlapping conditions and how they might like have friction against other parts of my ADHD. So like my therapist was recently talking to me about OCPD, and that my like need for like control and order and having things a certain way, and like having like needing to be productive all the time, and like I have all of these things in me going on, and then I'm like even more beating myself up. You know, people with ADHD beat themselves up a lot too, but that like I go through this like massive changes of like needing to do everything, needing to organize everything. This is where we keep everything. And then Josh having difficulty with the mindfulness of like setting things down and not realizing that he set stuff down, to the point that when I'm like, where'd you put that there? And he's like, I didn't put that there. And he's not just saying that, he like genuinely does not remember putting it there. And so whereas when I see something that's not, I was like, oh, I didn't need to put that there, right? And so there's just a lot of things like that where I had to understand, and Dusty knows this because I talked about it on my coaching call all the time, like I am doing that because I want him to do something the way I want it done, right? I had this very like mindset of, this is the cupboard where the, you know, where the cups go. So like, I don't understand why they're not going in there. Like, not even just the cup, you know, but like when the dishes, we don't have a dishwasher. And so when the dishes are dry, like I need help sometimes putting them away, because like it's shouldn't just be me doing it all the time. But he like does it. And so that used to like upset me in a way that I decided, I'm like, this is a really dumb thing, like not dumb, but like I don't want to be mad about this all the time. So like, what if I, in that being curious thing of, what if I like did this? And I know a lot of people married to people with ADHD, they just do it and then they like feel resentful, versus like I just feel resentful and then like don't do it. And just deciding like, what would life be like if, because he takes care of plenty, you know, I don't fuck with trash, like he takes the trash out, and like what would happen if I decided I'm not going to let myself get upset about this, and if I want it a certain way, done at a certain time, done in, you know, a particular, I can do it myself. And if he does it and it's not the way, you know, like if I want him to put his clothes in his closet and he keeps putting them on the bed before he takes a shower and then leaving them on the bed, and if that bothers me enough to the point, instead of saying you need to put them in your closet, I'm like, I'm not your mom. Like, if I want them in your closet bad enough that it's like bothering me, which it does sometimes, I will just put them there. And I'm not going to mentally keep a tally of like all of the times that you didn't do that and, you know, use it on you at some point. It's just one where I'm like, you know what? It will make me feel better if this room is tidy. And like, this will take me 10 seconds, instead of me being like, it would have taken you 10 seconds. I'm like, it will take me 5 seconds. You know? So just kind of, I think me having that realization of stuff manifesting, but how much stuff I was just trying to like control to have it be the way I wanted it to be. And I think that can be an issue. I don't know if that's anyone else's experience.
I have a super useful thing for this, but first I want to ask Erin to speak about her experience, because I don't know, does your partner have ADHD or not?
He does not.
Can you tell us about your experience? Because I want to loop back around to Danny's thing, but I want to hear you first.
Yeah. We've it took some like trial and error. And but we were also really fortunate in that we went to couples therapy just before we got married. My therapist suggested it because he said, he was very excited. He was like, we don't normally get to work with couples to set them up with good habits. Normally by the time people come to us, it's gotten so bad that all we can do is like make the separation as non-painful as possible. Basically, he's like, that's all we can do. But if you guys wanted to do a couple sessions, I think that would really set you up nicely. And wedding planning was making me a ridiculous human being, and so we did that. And our therapist wasn't great, but through going to therapy and even just talking about how we were working with her, we started to develop some some language around it. I think part of the hurdle for me is that it always feels like such a big thing to communicate when something is bothering you. And it also feels like a big thing to be on the receiving end of it. And so through doing that, we came up with the I'm having a feeling. And so that's something that we use sometimes. And
Will you go back and explain about I'm having a feeling? Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's the opening. That's how we start the conversation. I'm having a feeling. And then as opposed to being like, we need to talk, which always sounds like you're breaking up with someone, even like when you've been married for a while. So that helped. We one time went around the house and I grabbed a notebook and we did the airing of grievances. Basically, his threshold for when stuff starts to bother him is lower than mine. And so I know that it will be bugging him before it's bugging me. So we went around and identified some zones. He's like, it bugs me when there's stuff on this table. And he was like, if you can keep stuff off this table, you can leave stuff on your side of the bedroom. He's like, I don't care about the bedroom on your side, that's fine. But he's like, I would like this table to be clear and I would like this to be, neat. And so we did that. And in exchange, I was like, great, if you want dishes to be done, you have to ask me. Because I will not think of it on my own. And so, normally when it's, in the before times, he would just send me a text that was like, can you do garbages and recycling, or can you do dishes, or can you do garbage, recycling, and dishes? I would do those things. And he always gives me a heads up when the apartment's starting to bug him and we're doing a big cleaning day soon. He's like, cleaning day on Sunday. So I plan for it because
I was going to say is really useful, which is funny because Josh and I actually had a conversation yesterday where he's like, hey, can I ask you about something and I'm not mad, say the thing that you just had in your rejection sensitivity video, Dusty, about the starting the conversation off by hey, I'm just so you know, I'm not mad or anything, I just wanted to talk about something, framing it like that. I mean, obviously my anxiety spikes a little bit, but I believe, since you said that at the beginning versus you saying something, me getting mad and then you saying it, helps me to cushion it a little. And so him being I know when you come in the door and just set your backpack and set your purse and set stuff right next to the door, it's a little stressful because then when we walk in the door, there's just mess right there. And so he's like, if we could try and keep that tidy, that would be awesome. Is there something that you would like me to work on to keeping tidier? And I think inviting that, hey, instead of just saying, I want you to change this, I want you to change this, I want you to change this, to be able to be hey, is this something would you be open to working on this? And is there something that you would like me to work on? And I think that there is such and especially past relationships with people who weren't ADHD, was constantly trying to change who they are and not being necessarily as willing to work on yourself just as much. So that was something that I would say is helpful about our marriage, is just being able to really accept each other a lot, especially the parts that other people don't get. And so I just really love that. But there's a lot of difficulty, especially again, most of our stuff being household and cooking, cooking in particular, very difficult for us to do because when we're tired or depressed, neither one of us wants to do it. And so I was telling them at the beginning of this call, I got those Ensure little meal replacement things. And Josh actually came up a little bit ago and he went to hand me one because he assumed correctly that I did not eat lunch. And I just held up that I already had one. He was like, oh, okay. And he's like,
Oh,
oh.
that's cooperation. That's what it's about.
Josh is pretty great. Have to say, Josh, pretty great. I like Josh.
I'm still mad at Josh for what he did to those cookies.
Oh my God, you mean where he forgot to put flour?
That reminds me, I want to
He
make.
just put extra butter in and like followed the recipe, except was like double the butter because more butter is more delicious. And then there was just that.
It was horrifying.
Just
It was bad.
just desecrated those cookies.
Oh my God.
So upset.
Okay, I want
Most
to tell you.
ADHD thing ever.
I
think it'll be better with more butter, so I'm just going to do that and not think about consistency or the fact that baking is an exact science.
Yes.
I got this.
Cookies and butter thing. I missed this thing with I missed the cookies and the butter thing. I don't know what this is about, but I want to tell you about this thing that. Oh, so a client told me about this thing, and I'm so excited to recommend it to like other clients or like to find uses for it. And I had an experience the other day where I thought I could use it, and it's called Fair Play, the Fair Play deck. Actually, I think I told you all about it in the chat. So it's this set of cards, like a card game, but what it is it talks about shared responsibility and household tasks when you're like a couple or maybe with your roommates. And what I love about it is it talks about like addressing the fact that people conceptualize of what it means to like do something different. So like whose responsibility is it to do it, but also whose responsibility is it to remember to do it or to plan to do it, right? Because there's that thing that happens a lot of the times in like heterosexual partnerships where, you know, like sure the man or, you know, traditionally the man, I don't want to say always the man, but like usually the man person will like, you know, he'll do some of the cleaning, but it's still like the woman's job to do the emotional labor of like reminding him to do the cleaning or letting him know that something is messy and it needs to be cleaned, right? So this Fair Play deck addresses, it gets you thinking like, well, who gets you thinking about that? And I think it's just called fairplay.com. And it's like a set of cards that talk about different kinds of care tasks. And it's a really cool idea because again, like it gamifies like whose responsibility is what in a relationship or a partnership. And so I had an experience like this the other day because I got this piano. My sister's partner's niece had a piano. He called me up. He was like, hey, my niece is getting rid of this piano. Melody always loves the piano when she comes over to our house. Do you want me to have it delivered to you? Which was very kind of him. And I said, heck yeah, send me that piano. So he had the piano sent over and I wanted to get it tuned. So I said to my mom lives with me. She lives downstairs. She's elderly and disabled, but she helps with my daughter. So we have a very symbiotic relationship. I always feel like I have to qualify it because I don't want to say I live with my mom as if I live in my mom's house. Not the case. We live together.
No, I know. I can understand why you feel that way. Like when I was a teenager, we all moved in together as a family, and it like they used to look at my mom like you moved in with your parents, and it was not the case at all. They moved in as equals.
Yeah, exactly. So the other day I had asked my mom, I said, could you take care of getting the piano tuned? So she looked someone up and she arranged she said, can they come on this day? And I said, sure. And she said, it's going to be this and that much money. And the day that the piano tuner was coming over, I was working, I was busy. She said to me, don't forget the piano tuner's coming. I said, sure, that's great. But I had to leave. And what she thought was that I just needed her to set it up. And I thought that she was going to like take care of it from beginning to end, including like, you know, I was going to pay for it, but like maybe she would pay him and I would pay him back. So there I was like, he's coming in like 10 minutes. I don't have cash on me and like, I don't have time to set this piano tuner up. And so the ball got pitched back to me at the last minute. So I got frustrated, right? And I was like, I asked you to take care of this. And she's like, well, you should have said that. And I was like, I took a step back and I'm like, that's okay. I'm like, this is just a miscommunication. And I thought of that Fair Play deck and I'm like, clearly we don't have the same idea around like what it means to be responsible for a task. So the next time if I were to ask my mom or a partner or a roommate to do something, I might explain like, hey, could you take on task X? And what I mean by that is like, I want you to be responsible for it from beginning to end, or I want you to be responsible for booking it and I'm going to take it back at this point. So I love that it gives you that framework for like who's accountable at every step. Because it's applicable in so many ways. So yeah, I don't know. It's this weird card deck. It's called like Fair Play, but like, I'm so excited. I can't wait until I have a client who like really needs this and I can be like, try this thing out because it seems so fun.
I just opened it in a new tab and I thought of you because you had I don't know if you told me about this in particular, but actually when he asked, like when Josh said, what do you want me to work on? And I was like, we have one square of counter in our kitchen, one square. And it has the salt and pepper, you know, that's paper towels and like the olive oil and then the thing with the utensils. And so like if we pile a bunch of stuff on there, even stuff that's not like dishes, you know, if you put your giant thing of protein powder on it and it gets left there, that's like less space to cook, like makes us less motivated. And so like, but Dusty, you'd mentioned to me one time that like sometimes people have differing like ideas of what like done looks like. And so I like pointed and I was like, this stuff on this back wall all stays. And like this, like the rest of this counter empty, right? And like, would it be helpful if we made a you know, even like took a picture and like like for the until we're used to it, like putting a picture next
Aaron looks so excited.
This is what
Yeah.
done.
That's really smart.
This is what done looks like.
I gave this advice to like a mom who asked me about for her kid. This was maybe like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, but she was like, what's the deal? And I was like, okay, clean your room is a really big task for a kid. So you need to like clean the room, take pictures of the clean room, print them out, laminate them, stick them on like the inside of a closet door or something like that, so that the kid can be like, and like look at the room and look at the picture and be like, what is different?
What
like,
doesn't belong here?
What doesn't belong? I was like, and then like list out the steps in the order that they need to be done. So you need to like, you know, pick up your toys first. You need to pick up your clothes first. You need to get the stuff off the floor and then you make the bed and then you dust things or whatever the order is. But like get a picture of like, this is what it should look like when you're done, so that then you can say, make it look like this. Here are the steps.
It reminds
And
me
it looks like this, come get me.
I love this. This is deliciously simple. Like, and all the best ADHD advice is, it's just like, oh, that is so simple that I should have thought of that, but I never did. And I'm going to use this forever. Like, that's brilliant.
Well, have you guys worked in like restaurants at all? Yeah.
Briefly.
Well, I briefly too as like a host. I got fired because anyway, I got fired from a lot of jobs. But they have like the little book of like they split up who's gonna do what before you leave. You have to roll silverware, or you have to this many silverware, this many that, and like here is your list of stuff you have to do. And some of them have like pictures. Some of them have like pictures of like this is what it's supposed to look like, or this is how you do it, and like you can leave after you do this many that. And so now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I want to make a thing like that, but for my life. And then I'm
so to just bring it back to TikTok. So there's that person on TikTok. Her name is Casey Davis. Her TikTok name is @domesticblisters, and she just put out a book called How to Keep House While Drowning. And it's about, she calls, instead of cleaning, she calls them care tasks. And she has this whole thing about struggle care, right? Like her whole thing is helping people who have like postpartum depression or depression, who are really struggling to even do the most basic basics, like care for themselves. And she talks about closing duties, right? So she says she's got her 2 set, and someone in the chat was asking about this, but like she got her 2 sets of closing duties, and her like full closing duties might be about half an hour, and her like amended closing duties are like maybe 10 minutes. And she writes them, she has ADHD too, I think. She puts them on her fridge, and it's just a list of like nightly routine. Essentially it's a nightly routine or nightly chores, like you know, load the dishwasher, turn off all the lights, make sure the dog is fed, take the dirty diapers to the trash, whatever. Like there's like the bare minimum what she has to do every night to set herself up for the next day, and then the like longer one. And that's kind of I love that she calls it closing duties, just like when you're at a job, right? Because we have so much structure often. We have so much structure at like, you know, retail or like food service jobs. I find it really helpful, right? So like when I was a manager of a liquor store, I had this office, and it was the only space that we had other than the store. So it's like where employees would eat and they would like hang out and they would do their closing stuff. So some mornings I would come in and the office would be like all messy, even though it wasn't supposed to. So the first thing I would do is I would reset the office. I would put everything back where it went, and then I would start my day. And I realized that that was like a transition ritual. Like it was helping me get into the work mindset and be so productive. I think it just like came to me one day. I was like, why don't I do this at home? Like in my office, everything has a place, and I take time and I have this little ritual of putting everything back, and then it helps me feel more focused. And I realized, okay, I need to make more homes in my home for things. So everything has a home. And then I just go through this ritual of like putting things away, just like I do at my job. And like when I frame it like that, it doesn't feel like, oh, my house is so messy, I have to clean up and I don't want to. I don't know, something about thinking about it the same way as I would structure it in a job, like help me. So that's why I love that she calls it closing duties, because yeah, at the end of your shift in a restaurant or whatever, you have closing duties and you just do them and it's not hard. But at home, it's like, oh man, I know I should walk the dog. I know I should load the dishwasher, but I don't want to. And something about that little shift in how I think about it really helps me to like do it.
I like that. In my book, I called it the minimum level of clean. Like, and you're choosing your minimum level of clean is really easy. You want it to be safe, you want it to be sanitary, and you want to be able to find your stuff. Everything else, there's no fucking rules. Like, it can be a pile of clutter in the corner. Is it safe? Is it sanitary? Can you find what you need out of the pile? Leave it there. It's not hurting anyone. Like, all the rest of that shit is complete morality and opinion about the way something needs to look clean. Like, absolutely. And it's none of anybody's business. Like, you need there to not be like scissors on your couch so you don't get stabbed when you sit on it.
In the butt.
You need there to not be vermin crawling around your kitchen and your bathroom. Fair.
You need to not leave a clipboard on the floor where you could step on it and it will actually
and slide. Ask me how I know. Yes, I'm familiar with that one. I like that one. That one, it's like getting ready to do a split. I will tear every muscle in my body at this point if that happens to me. So I have to make sure it's safe.
It's not that I slid. I actually impaled my foot. There's a pokey part of the clip. And
no.
Gross.
That's how I learned that the clipboard doesn't live on the floor.
The walkways have to be clear. There can be clutter on either side of those too. It can look like the enchanted forest, but the walkway has to be clear because that's what keeps you safe. You have to be safe. It's important.
Right, like mindset. So like I have made, I don't know who, sometimes, do you ever find yourself actually changing your behavior and being like shocked that you've done something for a while? And then you're like, oh, I can't think about it though, because now that I've like celebrated in my brain, like I'm gonna fuck it up.
Now it's all gonna fall apart.
Made the bed every single morning for like a little over 3 months, which is just weird because I was never someone who made the bed, but like I like coming to bed, it being nice. It feels like after a long day, right? But someday I used to like think of it as like having to do this and having to get everything in and tuck the sheets and put the pillows in the perfect order. And like even this morning I was laughing because I was just thinking about it. Like my definition is like the the corners of the bed are covered somehow with the blanket, and the pillows are not on the ground. They don't have to be put up perfectly. That maybe one of the things fell off one of them, but like they're up there. And then I've got like this white and black IKEA pillow, and that's like thrown in the middle, and then it's done. Like blanket is covering the bed, and the pillows are not on the floor, and like that is made bed.
That's the minimum.
Sometimes I have energy to like make it look nice.
Yeah.
Days now I don't, but I still, if I walk into the room and I see it's not done, even if it's like 1 o'clock, and I'm like, I will take 5 seconds to like throw this and put this pillow on this bed just so I can like not break my streak.
See, I love that. And that like, we're very, and I think it feeds back into our black and white thinking. We can be very legalistic with stuff like this, where it's like, if I don't do it one day, everything is destroyed and I can never do it again because I screwed it up. Like I screw all of these things, and it just turns into this huge thing. And it's like,
let's do this.
Right, you didn't vacuum the floor. You didn't vacuum the floor for one day. If you're a daily vacuumer, I will never be a daily vacuumer. I have dogs. I have to put them into like bathroom quarantine in order to vacuum because they hate the vacuum and attack it. So that can't be me. I wish I could because they shed so damn bad. But like, I think breaking that mindset of perfectionism is one of the best places you can start when you're trying to really figure out how to sort your house, because so much of it is mired in what we think about ourselves and what we think we deserve, and what we think we deserve when we don't perform up to our arbitrary standards. And it's just shame, 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 when you really just need it to be clean enough to suit you. Nobody else lives in your house except for, of course, your partners. So you have to kind of come up to snuff with what they need too, which I know can be difficult, but you know, it sounds to me like you and Aaron both have like really mastered that. Like I admire that. My ex-husband thought I was supposed to do all the cleaning and that he was supposed to be able to be as messy as he wanted. Ex-husband. Like
I'm
a
like,
PhD person who thinks that they should be able to be as messy as they want, and another adult human has to take care of that.
I'm aware that I'm messy and that it's like, I'm aware that this is frustrating. I try to keep it to a level where it doesn't frustrate my husband, and I depend on him to tell me if it gets to a level where it does frustrate him. And I know that he would love having like a beautiful apartment that always looks pristine and nice and that sort of thing. And I'm like, I would love that too. I love looking at pictures of pretty places where people live. It won't look like that after like a week of me living there. It won't look like that. We can clean like maybe once or twice a year to make it look like that again, but that's not, nobody lives
That's
like
it.
that.
And like it wasn't even that I wanted the pristine. I would have liked that, but it was just like, of course, when you're battling like your brain all the time, that sucks up all this energy. So I would go through the house, clean it top to bottom and think, okay, I've got the rest of the week, I can breathe. And literally the same day, it would be trashed and nobody would ever believe me. It wasn't until, I swear to God, okay, this is so off topic, but I've already started, so let's do it. I'll try to make it quick. So I left my ex-husband. The house was trashed when I left. Big surprise. My mom says, he's bringing his kids over, let's clean it up. I say, fuck him, let him clean up for his own children. She says, no, that's not right. Let's do the right thing. Make sure these kids have someplace safe to be. Fine. So we go through, clean the house top to bottom, pristine, we leave. The next day I had to come back because I forgot something. And she was like, I'll come in with you just so everything is cool. And we walked in and the house was trashed. And she looked at me and she said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Like some people, and the spin was always that it was his ADHD. So, and I'm like, no, so I just don't have it. I guess I don't have it because I also have a vagina and that neutralizes everything. So therefore, vagina, ADHD, done. I'm perfect organizer.
Well, and like, okay, yeah. So everyone's ADHD is different. Everyone's on a spectrum, but like, I think there's a difference between like acknowledging like, hey, this is the reason for something, and I need to work on that, and being like, oh, well, I have ADHD, I don't know, right? Like, and this is, I made that TikTok. I don't know, you guys probably didn't see it, but I made this TikTok that like went kind of viral, and it was about how I was at the gym. And my gym, my gym trainer guy called me out for not paying attention to something. It was really embarrassing for me. Like he called me out for not paying attention, and the TikTok was about how, like that knee jerk like rejection sensitivity you get, where like I was just instantly like I was telling him off in my head, and I was like, should I leave? Should I quit the gym? And then proceeded to not pay attention for the next 5 minutes because I was like fuming. And then I was like, oh my God, now I haven't been paying attention. Should I just leave? And in the end, I stayed, but it was about me like working through those feelings. And I lost my train of thought. 1 second. I'm coming back to it. So, okay, the thing is, a lot of people in the comments kind of took what I was saying, and they were like, well, it's not anybody's job to accommodate you, and like you have to manage your own feelings. And I'm like, but that's the point. See, the point is that I know I'm really sensitive, and like and stuff triggers me, and like, yeah, I do have to work through those things, not because it's wrong of me to feel that way, but because I'm the one who I want to go to this gym. I want to get this workout. And so I decided with myself, okay, I want to stay even though I'm uncomfortable. So I'm going to work through these feelings. And I did, right? And what I said in that TikTok, or maybe in a follow-up TikTok, is like, probably every day, maybe not under coronavirus pandemic, but almost every day, I might have an interaction with someone where I get that like rejection sensitivity feeling, like where I get a little dysregulated. And so it's on me to like work through that and maintain my relationships and figure out when I need to have boundaries, when I need to say, hey, that wasn't an okay thing to say. And when I need to just like, let's just let that moment pass. That's probably not what they meant. Right. And that's work that I do. I don't get to just be like, I have ADHD, so nobody can criticize me ever about anything, even if I'm wrong. Like there's a difference, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. But that's the difference. You want to be accountable and you want to take on what's yours to take on and not pawn all your shit off on another human being. Unfortunately, there are humans who are very, very comfortable with pawning all their shit off on other people. And therein lies the difference. Like when people talk about, oh, you can't blame your ADHD for this or that. And it's like, okay, there's a difference between not wanting to be accountable and asking for help. Like, I think it is perfectly reasonable to expect the people in my life who are close to me to understand me and be willing to accommodate me, just as I'm willing to understand their shit and accommodate them. Because a lot of times we forget that it's a two-way thing. Like, even if they're neurotypical, they've still got their shit. So it's not like we're just being put up with. We have to put up with their shit too. We're all supposed to work together. That's okay.
Yeah.
There's also like, just the same way that people have different definitions of what done means, people might have different definitions of what managing means.
High five. Yes, totally agree.
And so, like, I might hear a criticism of myself, or I might hear something that ignites that in me and be like, I'm going to need a minute. Yeah. And like excuse myself to the washroom. And someone might say that's not managing, because what they think managing is me taking that and being like, thank you so much. And like not letting it affect me as if I have a decision in that matter. And that's not true. Managing it is.
Don't let it affect you. I hate don't let it affect you. That's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
It is. It's total bullshit. Like the shit that affects us. We're human beings. We have feelings. We're affected.
You're gonna love this. I worked at a makerspace in a lab a couple years ago, and at one point we had like the staff meeting, and a bunch of the women were saying that there was stuff that was bothering them about like the team interaction, but they didn't say anything because they didn't want to cause drama. And then one of the guys spoke up and he was like, it's making me really uncomfortable that we keep calling this drama. Can we find a different word for it? And we ended up calling it physics as a team. And as soon as because we were like, oh, look, every action has an equal like every action causes a reaction. And as soon as we did that, the whole team started to like just gel a lot better and started to check in with each other more. They started to be like, oh, I noticed when I said that you made a face. Is that something that I said? Do we need to?
Love it.
We're not creating stuff.
Because drama has all those negative connotations behind it. I don't want to be dramatic. I don't want to seem like I'm being that person. And it's like, what is being that person? What is being dramatic? Like, that's assumed. Like, when you bring in drama, the assumption is always that there's an overreaction there, and a feeling is not necessarily an overreaction. Like, I'm so glad you said that. Physics. I love it. That's so cool.
I love it too. Well, the thing that like the little things that really get to you that can like affect your behavior. And this, I was like, sorry, this is semi-related side quest, but and Aaron will know. So I had been playing League of Legends for a little while, and I really enjoyed it. It was, I had people helping me, but it was really hard, and it's really difficult for me to stick with anything that I am bad at, especially when I'm playing against people or with people who are all very, very good. It is difficult for me to not get discouraged. And everyone I knew who was really good, everyone was very accommodating and helping and teaching me, and that kept me going. And then we played with someone who was making fun of me for not doing what I was supposed to be doing as well as he had thought, and or they thought. And it was,
I remember that.
Yes, I literally had, because we were on like a call too, and I had to mute myself because I was like crying. and like trying to get through this thing. And then I stopped playing. And it's like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm just not going to play with that person again. It was like, this deeply impacts, this isn't fun anymore. Now when I log on to this is like triggering for me. It reminds me of this time that I had to sit there for 25 minutes and listen to someone make fun of me in front of my friends. And like, you know, it's just hard. And so, and I don't even know that person. And like, they felt bad afterwards, I guess, and told something, you know, that they felt bad, that I felt bad. And I'm like, I can't even just write you off as being a dick, you know, like I can't. Even though my brain's like, I understand that you are being unnecessarily mean and critical. And I know that, like, my brain can logically understand I shouldn't care what you think. I shouldn't care, but that's not how feelings work, right?
Was I there for that?
Feel
I
whatever
wasn't-
way you feel and then work backwards from there. Because when you tell yourself you shouldn't feel something, it doesn't give you a chance to experience that emotion and get it out, and it just lingers. You're allowed to feel whatever way you feel.
Was I in that game? Because I feel like
I feel like
I don't think I was. I feel like if I was, I would have torn that person a new one. Also, I am absolutely like the angel of vengeance in video games, especially cooperative video games, because I play healer characters so often that I just stop healing you if you're being a dick. I will let you die.
fend for yourself.
I have a totally different left turn that I wanted to ask Dani real quick, because one thing people might not know about Dani is that she is known for her absolutely amazing nail beds. Dani has great nails. She has very healthy fingernails. Now, here's my question. I have always struggled with my cuticles. I don't know what it is, but they get really dry and hard. And as a person who struggles not to pick and not to engage in body focused repetitive motions, this is exactly the time of year where like I just noticed myself doing it on this call. And like I moisturize the shit out of my hands. I take time to like, I put moisturizer on my fingernails and then I like rub it in, and it doesn't seem to do anything. Like they're just dry and then they get hard and then I pick them and then they bleed and then it just leads to a whole thing. And sometimes all my fingers, like all of them. And I work really hard to prevent that. Sometimes I even get fake nails because fake nails somehow seems to prevent me from doing it. But Dani, what the hell is your secret? How do you keep your nail beds so healthy?
When did we talk about this at some point, or are you just noticing my hands because I'm doing
So
that?
we talked about how you have very healthy nail beds.
I get told that.
That's what you said.
It's very strange because it's a weird compliment to get, and I don't get compliments very often about my appearance, so I'm just not used to it. But it's
okay. Everybody compliment Dani more about her appearance.
She's adorable. I'm really like genuinely astonished to hear that. People don't compliment you all the time.
No,
You're
I'm
adorable.
She
Also,
is. She's so stinking cute.
Side hack, I never think of moisturizing, like, or I never used to, like, just moisturizing my body aside from my face is not a thing that I ever think to do. So now I keep moisturizer anywhere that I have to sit for long periods of time, and I essentially use it as a fidget. Like, you guys have probably seen me, like, I've been essentially continually moisturizing my feet, hands, and arms because that's the only time I'll do it. I use it as a fidget. But so that's one super hack. If you tend to forget to moisturize, use it as a like, it's right here. I'm just gonna do it as a fidgety thing. But
send me your address. I will send you Canadian moisturizer. I have it imported over the line.
Oh, I will. But does and maybe the rest of you, maybe Erin and Renee have some advice on this, but like, it's really hard not to pick your cuticles when they're pokey, when they're poking you because they're so fucking dry. What do I do about this?
Do you have a cuticle nipper? Because it'll help you give into the, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say there are scissors. You were like, how do you do genetics? This is literally what my mom's fingernails look like. It is like the bit, like if you look from playing guitar now, they're nibs. Oh, wow. Look at this camera, like zoomed in and everything. Oh, now it did it.
Mine are, see, here's the one that I'm trying not to, it's getting out of control.
They're literally like, I have no control over them. They are just long naturally. But I don't bite my nails. I'm like, I would say one of the few people I know with anxiety who like don't bite my nails. And I think a lot of that is because I have long nail beds. I get stuff underneath my nails a lot, which looks gross, and I have no intention of putting that in my mouth. And so I never really, and obviously I like fidget with stuff a lot. But if you do get the like hangy ones a lot, there are like, oh, I don't have them right next to me, but like pretty much like
Now Erin's like looking at her nails.
I'm like pushing back my cuticles now. So I'm doing
Good look, because now you're like, are my nail beds as good as Danny's?
I literally
I have
so
very
bad.
nice nails. Look at
I
these.
get them on my toes. Even my
You have great
toes
nail
get like
beds.
hokey cuticles.
we are doing the live stream right now.
Look, I got the little like half moony things and everything. I have very
Oh
nice.
my
Yeah,
God,
you're
your
doing
nails
well.
are beautiful, Erin. Your nails are gorgeous. Even my fucking toenail cuticles are not good.
Oh wait, do I need to hold it back up? Like, I don't know. I think they're pretty average. Usually I go to the nail shop, but of course it's 2020, so I can't do that.
Things that people even notice, like on Migos, where she's like, I have man shoulders, and they're like, my nail beds suck, and she's like,
Oh my God, no. People really look at themselves and, well, yeah, of course they do. That's a stupid question, Renee.
Who says that? That they have man shoulders?
Mm.
Mean Girls. But like I have very broad shoulders, and I know that, but I was like, I don't see that as like a negative. I didn't realize that was a thing that people thought were negative. And then she's like, my nail bed suck. I was like, do people look at these?
I don't.
Things like that, where I'm like, do people pay attention? Or like when people were like, oh, my feet, like, oh, I have I'm like, my feet are, yeah, I've got like a giant callus, like the bottoms are all dry. Like, who the fuck cares? They're just feet. But I don't spend that much time like looking at them. I didn't know that was a thing that people were self-conscious about. So it's
I think were we talking about, I don't know if it was last time, we were talking about that book Radical Self-Love by Sonia Renee Taylor. Did we talk about that in the last live stream that we did? I feel like
Acceptance, or is that a different book?
no, so there's a book called Radical Self-Love by this woman named Sonia Renee Taylor, and I wasn't able to find it anywhere. So, we did talk about it because we were talking about audiobooks. And I was saying that I was listening to this book as an audiobook. And I really love the way that this woman talks about the concepts of radical self-love and like sort of being friends with your body. And I've been really using that in my coaching a lot lately, in talking to people about being friends with their brain, right? Because so often people come to coaching and they're like, I hate my brain. I heard someone actually told me, I wish I could divorce my brain. And I said, wow, like listen to what that's your brain, right? Your brain is doing the best it can for you, right? So often, and it's having a hard time, and we're just so mean to our brains, and our brains are part of our body. But so the other day I got some headshots done by a friend of mine. And when they came back, I actually started crying because my boobs looked so big and weird to me. Like I often don't realize that my boobs are so big, and they looked like disproportionate. And I thought, oh no, like, oh, I look fat. Like, look how huge my boobs are, but like in a gross way. And I had a moment when I started crying, and I was like, I'm so ugly. And then I was like, hold the phone. And then I remembered everything that I was reading in this Radical Self-Love book. And I was like, these boobs feed my child, and they bring me pleasure. They bring other people pleasure.
That's right.
They work really hard for me. And then I was
amazing reframing. That rocks.
And then I felt better.
That's a great way to reframe it.
Yeah, I really recommend that book. It sounds like everyone, just to bring it back around to the nail beds thing, everyone is telling me that I need these cuticle clippers or nippers. Is that what it is?
Oh yes, that'll change your life.
I think that's what I'm lacking. We're at the 1:30 mark, and I promised Erin we wouldn't go over time. So does anyone have any last things that they want to, do we want to shout out any self-promo before we go while everyone's paying attention?
I think if I tell people to buy a book one more time, they'll put my head on a stake. Buy a book.
Okay, I think they'll really appreciate the reminder, because they've probably forgotten several times, and they've been meaning to do it.
Download your book if you forgot to download the goddamn book. And if you forgot and your link expired, do not buy another book. That's a waste of your money. Email me and I will get you a fresh link. Please.
I printed mine because sometimes I need things to be physical.
It was built to be printable. I'm looking for software now that can do it well. Like I've tested a couple that will allow the PDF to be filled out like on there, because I know, like for me, I'm not printing shit out. Like I want to be able to fill it in, from whatever device I'm working with it on, so that I don't like, if I let the paper get in here, then I will have the secret garden path of paper through my house. So I can't. Paper is not allowed here as much as possible. It's banned. So yeah, I guess
Buy the
Book,
book. And
buy a
Renee,
fidget
you have
pen.
Renee, you have some like sponsored books if people can't afford them, right? Or is there something?
Yes, please, please, please. Easy email is renee@blackgirllostkeys.com. Donated book, subject line, ask for the book you want because we've got a little bit of each one, and like don't feel shy about asking for the book you want. We want to make sure you get something that you actually want to read and love. So please.
And the fidget pen looks amazing.
Oh, I love that damn thing.
Show us
I
again.
love it. I have had this pen for 3 years.
Amazing.
I was so excited when I was able to get it in for the store because I was like, I love it. Everybody else love it. Like, I've had the same pen for 3 years as a person with ADHD, and I have moved twice in those 3
Wow.
years. No, I'm sorry, 5.
Crazy.
4? Hell, I don't know. I'm time blind, y'all. It's been a long time, several years.
Erin, is there anything you want to shout out or promote or tell everyone to do, be, or think, or get, or say?
I'm still on Twitter. Work takes up a lot of my brain these days, and I don't have the extra brain juice for my usual long rants anymore.
You
but
have-
I'm still
Patreon?
there. Say hi.
You have
I
like
have a
Patreon or something, right?
I do, and my patrons all just got a blog post this week about how I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm just tired.
People still support you.
So yes, people, my patrons are lovely, and most of them were like, "It's cool. You do whatever. We're just here, whatever." And that was really, really sweet. But yeah, I'm still here. I'm still a person. I'm still like checking Twitter on my bathroom breaks and stuff and saying hi to people. But I'm just not as long-winded.
We're all just tired all the time.
What do you
Well,
want to?
wait, Erin does singing lessons, doesn't she? Like, it's always on my mind. Like, I want to take singing lessons. I need to get a hold of Erin.
Oh
It's
my
like
God.
it's always been like it's been like a dream of mine for years. Take singing lessons because somebody gave me a bunch of shit about my singing voice, and I've always loved to sing. And just like you felt about the game, Danny, like these past few years since that happened, it's like, well, I'll still sing by myself because it makes me happy, but singing in front of people is out of the question. So,
Oh my God! Can we please start it?
singing.
We got to start like an ADHD girl group, like a doo-wop group, or like a what is it? What's it called?
Yeah,
No music. What's the word?
Acapella.
Yeah, we got to start like an a cappella group.
a barbershop quartet.
But we'll get.
Oh my
we'll
God,
get
that reminds me. My
We'll get
best friend
Jessica
was
and
with me when
Tina.
you guys sent me the birthday message, and she said all of you have lovely voices. So, a compliment.
Yeah.
Start voice lessons on Monday, actually.
Listen. See, okay, so everybody email Erin because she already said she's busy, so why not harass her more?
Danny, what do you want to promote?
I have a shop on Patreon. My patrons are also very loving and forgiving that like I'm trying to do so much at one time that then like I always drop something, and I don't like try to drop Patreon or anything, but like right now I've been working on a talk with Jessica that I'm giving, and so nothing else has, and like this other freelance project, and so just like I thank people for their patience, and I would like to promote that I appreciate that, and that I've got I started a blog which will probably not get updated very often, but I really want to I have like things I want to do. I bought like the other night, I literally stayed up till 2 a.m. and I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy $200 worth of fidget toys on Amazon. And I did, and like high-end ones. And so I have a plan. I've got all of them in here.
Nice. You can write a blog about it, right?
Do it.
You can make a blog about that, right? And maybe you could talk with your coach about a plan to blog more often.
That is true. My coach is very cool. Everybody hit up Dusty.
Well, hit me up for, here's what I want to promote. I'm doing a boot camp next weekend and I still have a few spots, not that many spots, but I have some spots. And you all are going to think I'm crazy. So I did a beta test with the clients that I have who struggle with like a lot of overwhelm and like they have too many things. And so they're struggling to take advantage of coaching because they're just trying to get on top of the things. And so we did 3 8-hour body doubling sessions, and we did like structured activities as well as like kind of just working on stuff, a little bit of body doubling, a little bit of coaching, a little bit of like resetting systems. And it was like super intense and it was amazing. And all those people started a WhatsApp group with each other, like an accountability WhatsApp. They're all strangers. They don't know each other. And now they're all buds. And I'm still in their WhatsApp group. So I see them, they're friends, they're body doubling each other. They're asking each other for accountability checks, which is absolutely not what I thought would happen. But I was like, this is incredible. So now I'm going to do that again. And people have to pay me because it's exhausting for me to do it.
You have to. That's a lot of work.
And I have to get a babysitter. So, but I try to keep it affordable. And if people can't afford it, you can DM me and we'll do a sliding scale rate. We'll figure it out. You can come. So just message me about that because I have a couple spots left.
Somebody, I can't remember who it was. I'll have and I'll never be able to find it because it was on Twitter, but somebody was just raving about a boot camp of yours that they went to. So like people watching this is the real deal.
Nice. That's
like
good.
They were so happy about that. And they said they were waiting on another one. So make sure you tweet it so I can retweet it, because whoever it was, they probably are like super, super excited to try to get into the next one.
I will send you the tweet.
Perfect.
Okay. Erin, thanks for, we're going 8 minutes over, and I felt really like, I'm going to do it for Erin. I'm going to make sure we end on time. So
I didn't send the reminder until like 10 minutes ago, so it's okay.
So thanks it's so nice to see all of your beautiful faces.
Good to see you too.
I'll see you next month, hopefully.
I'm gonna try. Sundays I'm always like, I look like I'm dead on Sundays. Are you sure you want to see me?
You look amazing.
Girls makeup.
It's your inner radiance shining through. I'm always, here's what you guys don't know is that I just text Renee randomly and I said, Renee, can we please hang out? And one of these days I'm going to get her because I don't take hints and I don't have nuance and I'm very stubborn. So we will be friends. Well, we already are friends, but we will be friends that hang out. We're already friends, but we'll be friends that hang out when we both have time. I will make it happen.
Listen, we'll make it happen. It's just like, I have these ridiculously long days and I don't have a good work-life balance. Confession. Surprise. I'm sure that comes as a surprise to nobody. So I'm usually like, but I'm still working, or I'm so dead because I won't stop working. You're going to get me on a day when I'm not dead. I assure you.
You could just ask.
I love you all, but we've been saying goodbye for 5 minutes and I really have to pee.
Go.
So I'm gonna leave and you guys can wrap this up however you need to. Love you. Bye.
Bye. I'm gonna end the live stream now. Thanks so much, everyone. You guys are amazing. And let's do this again next month.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.